तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. I'm really happy to be part of this because Kathamrita, our gospel, is what I always rely upon. So it's something very, very, very close and dear to my heart. Actually, right now we are in the midst of a very intense discussion regarding some very serious land problem. So we are creating a retreat center in Rishikesh. A small portion got stuck in a legal tangle. Somebody had raised some objection and all that. So the lawyers are sitting. I have given them the draft. I myself drafted and gave. They are doing it. So I said, you all go out. I have a class now. So that's how. Maybe next time I'll be in time. Please, I don't mind. So today we will. Huh?
No, yes? No, Maharaj, please. We are willing to wait for you, please.
But we will make it very wonderfully rewarding for all of us. So now, today we will start, and then let us see how this goes. Once a month, I should certainly be able to make it. It's not a problem at all. First Sunday, that's what Juma. First Sunday is what we have agreed. So now see, as I've always been telling, even in the last discussion, we said our life, if we call ourselves the followers of Sri Ramakrishna, it should be centered around sadhana. Because you see, unlike the other avatars, see Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara, they are the most popular avatars in the Hindu mythology. Matsya Kurma Varaha and all, no one really worships. So out of these, there is hardly anything mentioned about their sadhana. About their spiritual striving, we don't get any mention. Sri Krishna from day one, full of miracles, extraordinary supernatural powers. In the case of Bhagavan Ramchandra, there is not even any miracle. He is an exceptional human being, Maryada Purushottam. How someone deeply wedded to the idea of Tyaga and Seva, how such a person, someone who is ready.
Can I request you to please mute your, can I request everyone to mute your microphones, please? Maharaj, আপনি একটু unmute করুন. I have muted everybody, including you, so আপনি একটু unmute করে বলুন, please.
So, in this avatara, the real speciality is he has shown everything through his sadhana. The descriptions you get in the chapter on Great Master, the first vision of the Divine Mother and the ecstasy, in extraordinary descriptions about what all he practiced, how intense it was. So, if at all we have anything very, very special in this avatara, that is Sri Ramakrishna's intense sadhana. As inheritors of that immortal, wealth from Sri Ramakrishna and this tradition, we should all, live a life to some extent at least based on sadhana. So that is why, Sri Ramakrishna never ever gave any lecture, nor Holy Mother. None of the direct disciples, with the exception of Swamiji, was really commanded by Sri Ramakrishna himself to go and speak and teach. He was commanded, he was forced, he was not willing. But he said, you must do it. Your very bones will do it. This is the language he used. And Abhedanandji, he did. His complete works are as big as Swamiji's. But you will see, if you read them, there's a huge difference between what Abhedanji spoke and what Swamiji spoke. He also had a big turban, he had everything. But, there is absolutely, you cannot compare these two at all. Because in one case, he was a chosen instrument of the Avatara. He himself wanted him to go and preach. His going to the West happened through a mystical experience of Sri Ramakrishna. through mother. So, his case was very, very different. So, in our tradition also, we don't, in our order, very recently all this has come. This giving talks and YouTubes and this and that. Our seniors always used to respect, admire, encourage those sadhus who were deeply into sadhana. They alone were considered great in the order. Very recently, we have started admiring those who are good speakers and who are attracting a lot of crowds and all that. Anyway, so in this small, our interactions, our gatherings, etc., let us see whether we can concentrate on that aspect. And I think, that is where we can mutually help us. I will not be able to give you any extraordinarily depth kind of a scriptural discourse. I am not capable of that. So, but this, if we discuss seriously, probably, every now and then, whenever you turn to the gospel, you will get beautifully something or other coming out of it. See, quite often, from the gospel, extraordinary solutions emerge. See, gospel is not just a scriptural text or a religious text. It's a manual for daily living, actually. The gospel is a manual for daily living. See, when Francis of Assisi, along with the 3 other young monastics, when he set up the first, that kind of a monastery, unknown even in the Western Christian tradition, given to extreme poverty, obedience, and the purity, that kind of this thing, when they were in doubt, they would go back to the first church from which they emerged. The first church where they took their vows of renunciation. And from there they set out. They would go there. There used to be a big Bible there. They will all bring down that Bible, close their eyes, pray, open it, and that page would there'll be some solution. That is how they initially solve their problems. So, here also, I find that every now and then, or if you are very serious, if you are very sincere, if you are prayerful, from Kathamrita itself, you will get wonderful gleanings, wonderful insights about life, what we are to do, how we are to face, how we are to go about. Everything you will get right from there. See, if you see the whole picture, Kathamrita is something which arose under very unique circumstances. It was not a book written by anybody specifically with the idea of writing a book. It just contains lots of conversations which Sri Ramakrishna had with others, mostly his future sannyasis, household disciples, with all of them. All the discussions, etc., which he had, that is what has come out as a book. But what is its origin? The compiler, who has put all of us under an eternal debt of gratitude, Master Maharshai. He was an extremely troubled soul. He was headmaster in his school. He had wife and children, and his own mother was living with him. So the fight between his mother and his wife reached such proportions, he had decided to give up his life, to commit suicide. So he, along with his wife, he went to stay for a few days at Baranagur at the house of his nephew, and from there he would end his life. That was his plan. So he had gone there. Already 2-3 days had passed by. Then his nephew told him they went to see a few places, temples nearby, etc. Then towards the end of the day, then this nephew tells him there is a very beautiful garden temple nearby. One Paramahamsa lives there. Would you like to come and see? Normally, after days of wandering about and such a state of mind, normally would have said, enough is enough, let us go. But as destiny would have it, he agreed. He agreed, and they came. Very strangely, as they came in, they did not go to the temple or anywhere. They went straight to Sri Ramakrishna's room. They were standing outside, and inside he saw Sri Ramakrishna was discoursing with his disciples. So, so he was talking with his disciples, and there was Kirtan was going on, and there was such a atmosphere of joy, and it was wonderful. So he writes, it was as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, singing kirtans in the company of his devotees. That's what reminded him. The scene, as he looked inside, he saw Sri Ramakrishna dancing in ecstasy and singing kirtans. Anyway, it's a small room. Hardly it can contain about 30-40 people at best. So naturally, all the time, it never used to be that full. Maybe some 10-12 people used to come. But even then, he says it is as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing kirtans in the company of his devotees. And then he says, it was as if Sukadeva was expounding Bhagavata Purana. Amazing. See, their life situation was very similar. You know what happened? The Parikshit Raja, he went on a hunting mission, and then while coming back, he was extremely tired. He wanted some water. He saw an ashrama. He went inside. The Muni was in deep meditation. He asked him 2-3 times. He did not answer. He put around his neck a dead snake and left. So when the Rishi Kumara came, he saw, who dishonored me, father, like that? Within 7 days, he will die of snake bite. Then the father, when he opened his eyes, he was a Trikala Jnani. Immediately he asked, what have you done? Do you know who did this? Because Parikshit was known to be a very wonderful king. In a moment of, that's why, a moment of carelessness can completely ruin one's life. But because it was the curse of a Rishi Kumara, himself a great tapasvi, and because his father was such a great soul, that curse turned to be an extraordinary benefit for Parikshit and for whole of mankind. Because Parikshit did that, because he got cursed, he got liberated. Entire humanity got an extraordinary text which would serve thousands of years all mankind. That is what it is. And then, if then naturally said, no, you go and at least tell him, this is what you have done. By the time, the Raja, they were all very dharmic people. He himself was extremely, repentant about what he had done. And he was really, really full of remorse. By the time this Rishi Kumara comes and says that, oh, this is what you have done, and by mistake, this is a curse I have given you, and you will die. He was very happy. He did not feel angered, or he did not feel disappointed. He knew, yes, wonderful. You see, sometimes, when we see cancer patients, I tell them, see, you are a little more blessed than others. Because for all the others, death comes at any time. And quite often, we keep on thinking about it. Many people, as we get a little older, or as we get some problem or other, some disease or something, the worry of death catches us. Only when we are young, we go about blissfully unaware or not thinking about that. The moment you cross maybe 50, 55 and above, then every now and then this idea, it comes, even otherwise it's a complete mystery. We have no idea. But if someone has such a disease, he knows that the countdown has started. So in one way, one can convert it into something of a blessing. It's possible. If one has that attitude, if one has done something in their life, it's possible also. So Parikshit was very, very happy that way. So he handed over the charge to his Rajkumar and then he came to the bank of the river, probably Ganga, and he had called all the sages and saints of the whole country. Said, all of you come. I have only 7 days to live. Please tell me, what should I do so that I become completely liberated? So naturally, they did not have answer. They are all great souls. But someone says, I have only 7 days to live and I have to find a solution to the problem of life. Obviously, they were completely taken aback. They couldn't satisfy. Then came the Rishi, that Sukadeva. Sukadeva was actually Vyasa's son, and he was Brahmagyani from birth, actually. He was born with complete knowledge. Because he had no other identification except the identification with the self, he never bound himself by wearing clothes or anything. He was, hey Rahul, please mute your mic. So he never wore clothes. He was always a Digambara. And he had no idea of body at all. He had no body consciousness. What would such a person do? So then he came. So everybody, including the Raja, please tell us what I should do. Seeing Parikshit's extraordinary sincerity and his earnestness, he expounded the Bhagavata in 7 days, at the end of which, of course, the Raja was cutting a fruit, and when he cut that, from inside a small insect emerged. It became bigger and bigger, became a very poisonous cobra. He was bitten, but by the time he had realized his true nature, he was liberated. He had become a Jivan Mukta, Parikshit. So I often say, people arrange Bhagavata for 7 days. What does it mean? Bhagavad Sapta means you listen to 7 days with such intensity, you will be liberated at the end of it. Of course, neither the speaker nor the listeners get any kind of experience, but I think that is the importance of Bhagavad Sapta. So, see, Master Maharshi was also thinking of ending his life. So, in a way, there was a strange connect to Parikshit, saying that, he was reminded as if Sukadeva was expounding the Bhagavad Purana before Parikshit. So, he was deeply impressed when he came. So, naturally, then he went and met Sri Ramakrishna, how he was scolded right, left and center, how his ahankara was completely smashed. And, it happened quite a few times. Again and again, he got severely scolded by Sri Ramakrishna. Because, in spiritual life, much of us, we have to do a lot of unlearning. All that we have wrongly learned, wrongly made part of our life, all that we have to let go, all those, loads, wasteful acquisitions, all that have to go. Then only we can go forward in spiritual life. Isn't that why most of us are not able to progress? Because all these are on holding us. Hurt somewhere, this thing with this person, this ego, that ego, I am this, I am that. All that is standing in the way of going forward in spiritual life. So Sri Ramakrishna was molding him in a real way like that. And then, and so it happened, when he wanted to, finally, when he started coming to Sri Ramakrishna regularly, and he was slowly being completely overwhelmed by the spiritual luminosity of Sri Ramakrishna, he was completely kind of converted. The person who was not ready to accept anything other than Nirgun Nirakar was slowly becoming attracted to even Sri Ramakrishna's personality, his experiences of samadhi, which he had never heard of even before, all that completely, made him aware of the extraordinary nature of Sri Ramakrishna, how he could be a real savior for him. And then, with this, when he started, he was making only small scribblings of noting. He did not know shorthand, there was no computer, anything like that. Small scribblings for his own personal benefit. And he was specially chosen. Sri Ramakrishna never used to discourage him. Whereas when another disciple, Mahapurush Maharaj, Shivananda, was Tarak, he wanted to note down. He said, no, this is not for you. He had to discard whatever he had noted down. So he had to kind of give it away or throw it away, whatever it is. So he was specially chosen. And not only that, Sri Ramakrishna would often ask him, what did I say that day? So Master Misha would repeat. Then he would say, yes, you have understood correctly. Otherwise, he would correct him. So all these, some extraordinary things, mystical or hidden in and through all these happenings. So Sri Ramakrishna wanted him to know correctly what it is, what he was saying. He should get the right import. Because he knew that this is going to be the message for thousands of years to come. And deliberately he would repeat so that, they get embedded firmly in Master Mashi's heart. He never prevented him from noting down, and deliberately he would tell him more than once so that, he could remember correctly. So all these, if you look back at all these, they're all mystical events of great significance, but apparently, they were not looked upon as something very, very important by someone or other. But Master Masha was very careful. So that is why later on, also, Sri Ramakrishna gave up his body in 1886. The last volume came out in 1932. 46 years later. Is it possible for anyone to remember what one heard 46 years ago? He did not bring out all the volumes together. First volume came out even when Swamiji was alive. But the last volume came out in 1932. And you will see the Kathamrita is arranged very differently. It's not, original Kathamrita of Master Masha is not chronological. The years are all mixed up. Here, there, everything. Somehow, he had his own way of arranging. Why he arranged them in a particular fashion, we don't know. Kathamrita is full of repetitions in many, because as he had heard, he had made small notings. It is said that he used to, once he got the idea, some or other, some 14, 15 years after the Mahasamadhi of Sri Ramakrishna, he would meditate, and slowly, he would come up with, because, you see that the descriptions are wonderful, who laughed, who was scolded by Sri Ramakrishna, what was appropriate, what was, every minute detail, as if someone had videographed everything. And he was just, taking out, and he was bringing them out in the form of print. So, there cannot be a more wonderful exposition of a conversation, because who are all present, who said what, when all of them laughed, what Sri Ramakrishna said, when he was annoyed by somebody, everything is given there. So very beautiful. So, in every sense, there is something very, 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 very special. So, when he started writing, that is why he gave at the beginning, in all great scriptural texts, there is something called Mangala Acharan. Mangala Acharan, auspicious beginning. So, for that, he virtually chose the same sloka with which the Bhagavad starts, Srimad Bhagavad. There also the same Mangalacharan. Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiritam Kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Srimadatadam Bhuvikranandiye Buridajana. So, you were very, very aptly he gave it at the beginning, Your Kathamrita, your nectar of words, your katha is like, elixir to those who have been burnt by the fire of this samsara, tapta jivana. So about by whom munis and rishis and great saints and seers and sages have extolled your praise like anything. Kavibhiriditam. Kalmashava. That will remove all impurities, all kalmashas. So should one be a great pandit or anything? Shravana Mangala. If you listen to it, that's enough. Even if somebody reads and you listen, that's enough. You don't have to be even a person with minimum literary abilities or capacity. You can be an unlettered person. Yet, if you hear somebody reading it out, see, that is a power. Great. See, actually, it's not so much in the words. It's not so much in the great meaning, grammar, diction, etc. Sometimes some words they strike so deeply, they make a deep impact on your heart. And then you learn life's lessons, spiritual lessons from that. So sometimes for somebody else, that person might not mean anything at all. But see, some people go, Arey, why is going to so and so? Such an ordinary person or a useless person or this or that. No, for me it is different. That is why this Guru-Shishya relationship is also very extraordinary. The Guru may be anything, but if God chooses him to be instrument for somebody, no one can question that. Spiritual laws operate very differently. It's not like, it doesn't operate like anything in the material world. So if X is chosen by Bhagwan himself to be the Guru for Y, then Guru Y will get everything. The X may be very useless also in an ordinary sense of the word. It doesn't matter at all. If God makes him a conduit, such person can be very different. This is Shravana Mangalam. It's what, when probably Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to Dakshin Bharat. He went to a very famous temple, probably Srirangam. There he saw someone was holding. No, that's why it's not even, one need not even listen. If that inspiration is to come, it can come in a very extraordinary way. Some person was sitting there, he was holding the Gita upside down. So he asked him, "Aap kya padh sakte hain? Can you read?" No, I can't read. Why are you holding this book? What's happening? No. The moment I take the Gita in my hands, the scene of Vasudeva, Sri Krishna, holding the reins in his hand, and he's a charioteer, and Arjuna, they come to my mind, and they shed tears. So, it's all not our knowledge, our panditya, or our ability to read, understand, decipher most complicated texts, nothing. It's all by the wayside. The real thing is, are you inspired by something which is making an impact on your life? That is important. So he says, Shravana Mangala. Even if you hear, that's enough. And then, Srimad Atad. It brings you Sri, wealth. What kind of wealth? Difficult to say. It may not be material prosperity. It will bring you that wealth which will fulfill your life. I think all of us are old enough to understand that. Money does not bring peace. Money does not bring happiness. There are people who are millionaires, extremely unhappy, extremely distressed, extremely in tension always. There are people subsisting on the minimum, extremely happy, extremely contented. So, Sri, what is wealth? That would make you happy, that would make you fulfilled, that will give you contentment. After all, ultimately, you may own the entire world, but if you can't make use of it even in the least way, what is that value to you? Isn't it? Ultimately, whatever we have, even a small way if we can use, then that would be a totally different thing. So it brings Sri. Whoever gets associated with Kathamrita, he gets free or that wealth. And then the question is, why is it that people are not taking to it in large numbers? In Delhi, I was in Delhi Ashrama for 16 years. So someone used to come and say, see this, some sect, they do a big function every year in Delhi. See, 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs people. I said, in all my years, I think this many people have not come to Delhi Ashrama. So numbers, no. It says, only if you have done extraordinary acts of piety or punya in your previous births, then only you'll be attracted to this. Otherwise, it will not make you feel closer to it, or it will not attract you in any way. So, those of us who feel attracted to Kathamrita and thereby to Sri Ramakrishna, etc., please understand that you've already come a long way. It's because of the acts of merit or punya done in your previous lives, we get attracted to this extraordinary text, which is capable of liberating you, capable of removing all the accumulations of sin or kalusha or whatever it is. So, this is how it starts so beautifully. Everything in that is. So, if you will find that, Master Moshe has very, very carefully kind of, hidden him. Never does he mention his name. He mentions it, Yam. Yam means Master Moshe. In several places, a visitor asked, Agantuk Pucha. Agantuk means he himself. Somebody asked. So, most of the things, most of the important questions were all raised by him, but incognito in various names, or as Yam, or as something else, because he was an extremely humble person. He wanted to remain always in the background, and he never wanted to project himself in anywhere whatsoever. So, the idea is, if you read Kathamrita, there is a way, they say there is a way of doing even this Kathamrita part. There was one of my predecessors in Delhi Ashrama, Swami Buddhananji. He was very well known for his expositions on Kathamrita. He was an extremely well-read person, a great contemplative also. It seems one of these Swamis who had lived with him told me, Maharaj's reading of Kathamrita every day was an extraordinary event, so to say. He says, in ashramas, the morning tiffin is quite early. After that, he will come, he will take bath, etc. He will close the door. And then over his bed itself, there used to be a almirah with books. And then he will sit cross-legged, he will light a dhoop, and then he will take that Kathamrita from the shelf. And the Swami says, for the next 1 hour or so, he will be lost to the outside world. So deeply immersed. Because you see, Kathamrita is not a rapid reader. You have to read only few pages. You have to read every day, and you have to read it several times. The more you read, the more you will understand. The same incident, same description will give you different meaning because you have been reading it again and again. You are getting immersed in that Ramakrishna Bhava, his way of looking at things, his way of explaining. The more and more you get into it, you will find more and more it is being revealed to you. And also, it will be according to your own state of mind at that time. Quite often, depending upon that, you will get wonderful suggestions, solutions, what to do, what not to do, and so on and so forth. See, only when you read more and more, you will understand. Some of our senior Swamis were so particular about this. They would miss anything but the reading of Kathamrita. I must have saw in our night class, I was in headquarters office for 30 years, we used to have a small night reading. So when Brahmachari was reading, And he was he was reading like small children, like holding each line by the finger. In Bengal they read like that. Is not everybody reads just like that when they are young and this and that. They just line by line so they don't miss a line. He's reading like that. The Swami is sitting there, senior Swami. Thik kore podo. Read properly. From there he is saying, read correctly. This person is making a mistake. The Brahmachari is reading line by line, using his finger. The Swami is correcting from there. So you can understand how many times he has read that book. Because, many of the expressions are, Sri Ramakrishna uses very, very rare and unheard of kind of rural Bengal expressions. The Bengali language itself has several dialects, you can say. If you go to Sylhet, it is different. It's Vidnapur, it is different. If you go to Hooghly, it is different. There are so many variations. So he uses a very particular kind of dialect of the Hooghly district or something like that. So some of those things are, and also what he quotes, what he refers to, they're all so ancient, kind of, what people used to say 100, 150, 200 years back. Those expressions are not used in the modern Bengali. So, it's all very, very new. Apart from that is the depth of spiritual wealth that you get from that. So, every little thing, as you read, you find that it throws extraordinary revelations. So, a lot more needs to be talked because so many people are waiting. I will just discuss one incident today. We'll close with that. Next time, we'll continue from where we left off. I'm saying how it can give rise to such vast ideas. Sri Ramakrishna, this comes number of times. He says, you always live like a maid servant in a rich man's house. The servant maid, she does all her work. She always is my Rama, my Krishna, like that. But her mind is always, about her children who are in the village. So like this, Ramkrishna says, you do all your work in the world, but keep your mind on God. And that's it. It's so easy. Why are we not able to do it? Ramkrishna's language is very simple. The prescription he gives is very, very simple. Why are we not able to do it? So if you go deeply through this example, you will understand to some extent. Of course, there can be different interpretations also. What little I understood, it will make it very clear. See, now, let us analyze this example part by part. Now, the first thing, the lady who is working there, she pours her love on those children. There is no hypocrisy in that. So much so, some of the children who are, when they grow up from rich houses, they relate more to that maid who brought them up, that servant maid, rather than even their own parent. They become so attached to them. Because there's so many years they have been with them in and through their life and all that. So that relationship is very real. It is not false. It's not that falsely she is pretending. At the same time, the servant maid knows very clearly, however much I might love these children, my stay here, my job here is extremely fickle or uncertain or unreal. Supposing I drop something very costly and break it, this very moment I would have to leave in spite of my pouring my heart of love on these children. This is the first thing, first learning for that. She knows clearly her job is always on fire, on line. Anytime she can be dismissed. There is no certainty. There is no nitya. It's completely anitya, completely impermanent. Anytime it can go. So she is always aware of that. Are we aware of that, like that, about life in this world? When will the comparison will not match at all? Sri Ramakrishna says, you live in the world like a servant maid, but the problem is this, The servant maid knows 100% her job is completely anitya. Anytime it can go. It has no stability. It has no reality. Whereas for this, the world is absolutely real, totally nitya. There is nothing anitya about this world for us. So how can we follow this example? That's the first thing we get 0 marks in that. And then, the servant maid, when she talks things, Sri Ramakrishna always says, her mind is on those children who are back at home and not here. Now, in the case of those children in the village, her relationship with those children, that they are her own, there's absolutely no doubt. No one need tell her, oh, your children there in the village, they're all your own. Na? No one need tell her. She knows in her heart of hearts, instantaneously, there is absolutely, there is no uncertainty. There's nothing which she need be clarified about her relationship with the children back in the village. But our relationship with God, there is not even an iota of certainty in that. So how do we relate to God the same way as she relates to the children back home in the village? So the examples might look apparently very easy to understand and very simple and all that. But you go deeper, there is a vast difference. That's why, the first condition in this thing is to develop that world weariness. Somewhere or other, unless the world strikes us as anitya. See, that is what our experience should teach us, na? I don't mind if young people are feeling very happy and certain about the world, they are going about making efforts and all that. But those of us who are at least cost 50% of the life, 50 plus age, very few live up to 100. The moment you cross 50, you have done more than 50% of the journey. For certain, should not life teach us the amount of blows that you have received, the amount of disappointments, the sorrow, suffering, unpleasant things, all that? Should it not make us realize that the world is definitely anitya to a certain extent? Tiredness. Oh, enough is enough. Bahut ho chuka hai. Enough. Do you feel tired about that? About the world? You see people 60, 70, 80, they will beat youngsters in their enthusiasm for goods and enjoyments and all that. So much of enjoyment, going to a film, going to some eatery, going to a hotel, going to this, going to... All, why? They have not realized even in the least, even now the world is so real, they are so attached, so passionate, it's not possible to build that kind of relationship with God or anything superior or anything transcendental. It's not possible at all. That is the problem. So the first thing, please, for God's sake, don't feel put off. Sometimes I speak what I honestly feel. You can ask me, you can challenge me. I'm not keeping myself apart from all that. I'm also like you, I'm also struggling in my own way. But I clearly see, when I say all of us, why we are not progressing at all. This is the reason. That world weariness has not come in our life. We feel that world is absolutely real. When we get some blows, we get something, for a few minutes, seconds, something happens. Then after that, again we are back to square one. Anyway, we will continue the discussion next time. The point is, every example which Ramakrishna gives is loaded with meaning. There are so many extraordinary revelations. For that, we need to read it patiently, think about it, meditate on it. With all that, then slowly, over a period of time, we will find that, when we reach that kind of a little stability, then, there used to be a great sadhu in the mission. He was called Swami Hitanandji. He did puja in Belur Math, I think, for 30 years or 40 years or so. He was so much respected. Once he was going to Rajkot temple for the temple dedication function. Before that, he had gone to take leave of one assistant secretary. He was much junior team because this person had done quite a lot for Rajkot. So, and he was also assistant secretary at the assistant general secretary. So Maharaj had gone to his room, but that Swami was known for his, he was very powerful. Okay, who is that? Normally is how he answers. Ami Hitananda. Maharaj, he came out and fell at his feet. He was so much respected. He would walk from President Maharaj's quarters to Swamiji's temple during Arati. If you see him, you can understand here is a Sita Prajna who is walking like his measured gait. He'll go up and down with the same slow speed, back and forth, back and forth. I met him when I was very, very young. So we asked him, Raja Maharaj says, whatever you have to do before 30. And what is this, Maharaj? He said, Arey, what fools you are. Even before 60, you won't even understand what is spiritual life. What to say, realizing everything before 30, that was saying. So anyway, let's make an honest effort. Let us make this combined study. Sahana vavatu sahano bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahe tejasvi navadhitamastu mavid vishavahe. Let it be invigorating, equally beneficial for both of us. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, our Juma wants to ask something.
Maharaj, today, as you said, that you're very busy, so there will be no time for question answers. I believe.
Next time we'll start with question answer.
Next time. Okay, all right.
Who's ever had? I think you'll have time about 3 weeks to think about all that.
Yes.
Whatever we discussed. We'll start with question answers. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your time.
I always love these discussions.
Pranams.